what you are learning from Toastmasters and how she has learned to unleash the chatterbox. So with a thunderous round of applause, let us welcome Toastmaster Hannah Victoria onto the virtual lectern.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Chaitra, for that introduction. I'm basically quite introvert myself. It's only after coming to Toastmasters that I speak a bit. A very good evening, dear Toastmasters, and most welcome guests.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The Bangalore Toastmasters Club is the second largest and the second oldest club in across 800 clubs in India. We are a community club, and at our club, you will get to listen and learn from an 18-year-old to a 72-year-old. So welcome once again to our dear guests who have, I see at least 4 or 5 guests on this platform, and I take this opportunity to welcome them once again. And dear Toastmasters, what do we do to welcome our guests? I hereby declare meeting number 1307 open. May I now request our charming Toastmaster Kirtana to please present the minutes of the meeting 1306. Over to you.
Good evening, my dear Toastmasters and guests. The previous meeting, meeting number 1306, themed, if you have the courage to begin, you have the courage to win. And the word of the day was candid, meaning truthful and straightforward. The session was started by our Sergeant-at-Arms, Toastmaster Chaitra at sharp 6:30 p.m. with her high energy making sure we all follow the pandemic norms, followed by the President's speech giving apt examples from her life based on the theme, post which the baton was passed on to Toastmaster of the Day, Vivek Vijayan, who connected each session with great ease, charm, and lovely energy. Prepared speeches by Toastmaster Chirant, who broke the ice. Though it was his icebreaker speech, it didn't seem like one due to his absolute confidence. Kudos to you, Toastmaster, for breaking the ice. Toastmaster George, with his speech, told us the importance of mentors. The speeches were evaluated by the evaluators, Toastmaster Aaron and TM Rajdeep, very clinically giving the speakers valuable feedback. We had a networking break and snacks sent by Toastmaster Sureka. The cheese chili toast and this chocolate souffle still make my mouth water. Just yum. Thank you so much, ma'am. Post the break, we continue the spiciness. We had the table topic session conducted by Toastmaster Rajanna with great style. The whole session was then evaluated by our ever humorous Toastmaster Teresa very carefully with the help of her Taggle team. And the winners of the meeting were as follows. The Taggle team winner was Toastmaster Robinson, role taker was DTM Teresa, table topic speaker was Toastmaster Jaina, evaluator to DTM Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, speaker Toastmaster George. The meeting had 23 members and 8 guests, and it ended by 8:30. Over to you, President.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Kirtana. Any amendments to the minutes Toastmaster Kirtana mentioned? So I take it as the minutes of meeting number 1306 as passed. Coming to the theme of today's meeting, unleash the chatterbox within you. When I read the mail what VP Education sent us to explain the theme, she said, if you notice, we have constant dialogues within ourselves. So the objective of this meeting was to unleash that chatterbox, the characteristic of that chatterbox in this meeting. And I thought that was quite daring, actually. When do you be a chatterbox? When you get people to listen to you, isn't it? When I was growing up, I grew up in a joint family, and we had 9 cousins. And the minimum, and I was the last, and the average age gap was around 15 years. And so when I used to come from school and tell them this happened or that happened, most of my cousins will say, yeah, done that, been there. So I developed that skill. I thought developing the skill of listening was far better than speaking. But as I grew older, I find being a chatterbox is a delight. I mean, listening to a chatterbox sometimes is quite a delight. My second daughter, Danielle, she's now 9 years old. She started crawling as in on her belly at around way past the age of 1. She walked when she was 1.5, and she didn't speak a word until she was 3.5. My husband and I got a little bit worried, but you know, these wise owls at home, one of them said, don't worry, she'll be a very talkative girl, she'll be a chatterbox. Quite true. I will enact just 30 seconds of Danielle to you in any given day. She goes like this: Mama, the sky is so blue. And then, Mama, I think I'm in love with those chickens. Mama, the garbage man didn't come. Mama, don't you think you're a fatty? So she's such a delight to listen to. But there is also another aspect of being a chatterbox. I work in an organization which have we have 100 people, of which 97 are males and 3 are women. And we have 3 temp staff, also women. So the 6 of us, whenever there is an office party, we will cling and hang on to each other, just like refugees do. So in these office parties, there is one girl who's quite a chatterbox. She can comment and talk about anything. If the background music is playing, she will tell us, oh, this is the movie, this is the singer, this is the director, this is the playback singer, so many things. And I have to think of a ruse to wiggle out of that conversation. So basically, being a chatterbox is both a delight, and yet it will make you creative to think of different reasons to move out of the conversation. Coming to the Toastmaster of today, to take the meeting forward, is a Toastmaster. Both of us joined Toastmasters at the same time. We were inducted together, and we were teammates in 3 executive committees. She started off being the SAA, and then she moved on to being the VPPR, where in her term, she won the Best Newsletter Award. She went on to be the VP membership. She's right now, she is the B3 secretary, area B3 secretary. And she is quite a fitness freak and has a gorgeous smile. So Toastmasters and guests, please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Priyanka Ranore to the stage, please.
Thank you, President, for such a wonderful introduction. Fellow Toastmasters, and to all the wonderful guests present over here, a very good evening and a warm welcome to Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Today's theme of the day is Unleash the Chatterbox Within You, which means that there is an inner voice within us that whispers all day long, and it is very important to understand and listen to it. In today's world, where we're surrounded with so much of chaos and distraction, it is very difficult to master discretion. There are very few who can streamline between inner voice and distraction, while many are confused between their inner voice and attraction towards distraction and assuming it to be their inner voice. At least I think I come under that category. When I hear and listen about the successful people in today's world, one thing that has been common and they have emphasized is to be truthful to yourself and listen to your heart and mind, which is very difficult for many of us because we very easily get stuck and distracted with the noise of others' opinions that drown out our own inner voice. And it's very true that no one apart from you know your truth. Only you know your truth. And if you are secure within yourself, no one, nothing can touch you. Author James Allen very well said this. A man is a master of his own thoughts, even in the weakest and the most abandoned state. As human beings, we are considered to be the most powerful being. And as a being of power, intelligence, and love, and the Lord of our own thoughts, we hold the key to every situation and contain within ourselves that transforming and regenerative agency that can make us be what we will to be. So it is very important the seed of thought that we sow because the thought is that force and the mind is that element that operates and creates the character, the circumstances, and the destiny that we want. And that is the law of being is established. So it is very important that we manifest this within ourselves because it helps us grow and reach heights, and just not that. In turn, we also do to the people around us. There is this one person that I would like to speak about who manifests this not only within himself, but to the people around in the world. The reason that we all are here together connected, he is none other than the founder of this organization, Toastmaster, Ralph C. Smedley. He founded or started Toastmasters in the year 1924, and from then on, Toastmasters is spread across 149 countries with around 15,800 plus clubs with 3 lakh plus members all around. And even though we are spread across so many countries, we are all connected because of that one thought, that one purpose that he created, that is empowering people to be a better communicator, a better thinker, and a better listener. Toastmasters, the meeting is, it has a format that the way it is created. So it is divided into 3 sections. The first is the prepared speech section, the second, the table topic, and the third, the evaluation section. Prepared speech section is where every Toastmaster have been chosen a pathway and every pathway has a level of project. So the Toastmaster, based on their project, prepare themselves, come on the stage and present themselves. The second section is the table topic section. This section is considered a section where it helps you think on your feet. That is where a table topic master comes and presents to you all a topic, and whatever comes into your mind within those few minutes or few seconds is what you speak with regard to it. So basically helping you to collect your thoughts and put it across to the people around. And the last and the most important section, the evaluation section, where The meeting is being evaluated from the start till the end. Every prepared speaker is being evaluated, and where a summary of it is given to us at the end, telling that where we excelled and where we need to improve. And to evaluate the entire meeting, who we consider as the hawk eye of today's meeting, is called the general evaluator. He would be evaluating each one of the role takers and sharing his feedback to us so that we could grow and become a better person, a better speaker, or a better role taker. I would introduce the general evaluator in the evaluation section. But to assist him, we have a tag team. As a timer, we have someone who believes in the world of who believes that in the world of inequality, time is the greatest equalizer, and one day equals to 24 hours, not more or not less. As a timer, we have Toastmaster Chiran. Toastmaster Chiran, please read.
Okay, thank you, Priyanka. Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Please.
So, as a timer, I'll time the table topic speaker, the formal speaker, and the evaluations. I'll also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards. So, the table topic speaker has a limit of 1 minute 30 seconds. At the first minute, I'll show the green card. At the 1 minute 15 second, I'll show the yellow card, and 1 minute 30 second, I'll show the red card. So the in the prepared speech session, we have an icebreaker and a like normal speech. So in the icebreaker, it is of 4 to 6 minutes. At the 4th minute, I'll show the green card. At the 5th minute, I'll show the yellow card, and at the 6th minute, I'll show the red card. For the other speech, I'll show the green card at 5th minute. I'll show the yellow card at 6th minute, and the red card at 7th minute. The individual evaluations for the speech should be between 2 to 3 minutes. At the 2nd minute, I'll show the green card. At the 2 minute 30 second, I'll show the yellow card, and at the 3 minute, I'll show the red card. So thank you, Toastmaster Priyanka. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chiran. Next, as an R counter, we have someone who is a TV news anchor and who is very active in taking every role in our club. Ladies and gentlemen, as an R counter, we have Toastmaster Chetana. Toastmaster Chetana, please explain your role.
Chetana is unable to join, so Jainam will take that role.
Okay. So, as an R counter, we have our current VP PR. Toastmaster Jainam, please explain your role.
So as the R counter for the day, my job is to note the usage of crutch words and filler words and fillers for pauses such as so, you know, which actually hamper a person's speech. I will also note down repeated usage of words such as this means or this means again. And at the end of the meeting, I'll note down the usages of such hampering of speech, and I'll report it to the general evaluator at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Jainam. Now, as a grammarian, we have a seasoned Toastmaster who loves writing one-liner stories and who also has started a blog called The Twisted Tiny Tales. So, Toastmasters and guests, as a grammarian, we have Toastmaster Alan Arana. Toastmaster Alan Arana, please explain your role.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as the grammarian, it is my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers listening carefully to their language usage. I'll take note of any improper language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. Now, as a grammarian, it's also my duty to introduce the word of the day. Now, today's meeting, the word of the day is ruse, which means an action intended to deceive or trick. Now, to give you an example, I'll give you a very relatable example for anyone who takes up the grammarian role. The grammarian often fails to think of a ruse to get Toastmasters to use the word of the day, right? So I will give my grammarian report when called upon during the meeting, and I will also report on the usage of the word of the day. So remember, the word of the day is ruse. So look forward to having it used as much as possible, and keep speaking. Back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alan. Now, as a listener, we have someone who is an application consultant as a profession and who loves traveling and a keen observer too. So, Toastmasters and guests, as a listener, we have Toastmaster Abhirama. Toastmaster Abhirama, please explain your role.
Good evening, my dear fellow Toastmasters and guests. In this meeting, while we unleash the chatterboxes within us, let us also pay close attention to all the chatterboxes around us. So as the listener of today's meeting, I'm going to carefully listen to each and every speaker and role taker. And at the end of the meeting, I'll come back with a bunch of questions to check how many of you have been active listeners in the meeting. So happy listening, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abhirama. And now we would move on to the first section of our meeting, that is the prepared speech section. And the first speaker, before I call on speaker, I would like to call the evaluator. And the evaluator for the first speaker is a seasoned Toastmaster who is known for her humor and is also a COVID warrior. And why do I call her a COVID warrior? During the COVID times when we were all scared and sitting inside, she was the one who stepped out to help people outside. Ladies and gentlemen, the evaluator for the first speaker is TM Teresa. I request TM Teresa to please read out the speech guidelines.
Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and my dear guests. The purpose of the project is for the member to introduce herself or himself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speaking. Timer, please note the allotted time duration is 4 to 6 minutes. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, ma'am. So the first speaker is attempting her icebreaker speech in the pathways as persuasive influence. And since it's an icebreaker, I would not say much for her introduction, but I would like to share my experience with her. I know her through speechcraft, and she is a person full of life and vibrance. So fellow Toastmasters and guests, kindly put your hands together for speaker one, Toastmaster Vasumathy. Title of her speech: On an Adventure Called Life. Let me repeat, speech title: On an Adventure Called Life. Toastmaster Vasumathy.
Thank you. Hot and dry, despite the Kaveri, not far off is the land of Shuddha Saveri. Uchipilayar Koil, Ponmalai, and Rockfort. Can you guess this place, or is asking me your only resort? Any guesses?
Timbuktu.
No, not Timbuktu. I'll say the answer, Trichy. Trichy is the place where I was born. I have carefully preserved the letter that my maternal grandfather wrote in his illegible hand to my father announcing my birth. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I am Dr. Vasumathy Ravishankar, born in Trichy, brought up in Bangalore. Life has come a full circle for me. I did my bachelor's in Bangalore at St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science. And then I went on to do my PhD in Chennai at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. And back again in Bangalore as a postdoctoral fellow at Indian Institute of Science. Of all the things that I have been grateful for in life, I am most grateful for internet banking. Ask me why. My mom, Vasanta, worked for a bank. As a result, I have never had to step inside the premises of a bank for anything. So even to this day, I'm like a deer caught in headlights within a bank. I know nothing about in-person bank transactions. What I do know, however, is a bit about tools. My father, Ravi, is a mechanical engineer, and he has collected a large amount of tools which he taught us to use. There's one thing about my dad too. His concern manifests as anger. So he hates it if somebody he loves gets hurt, even in the process of learning. And I think it's a very unreasonable behavior. As a young boy, my father and his friend found out that some of their Diwali crackers had become damp in the rain. So they decided to throw everything in a tin can and heat it up on a stove. They almost murdered the friend's grandmother that day. So for someone who was so reckless as a child, I think he should not be angry if we get hurt in the process of learning. Things were different for my sister Purna. Being 8 years older to Purna, I always acted as a buffer between her and my parents. To her, I'm somewhat of a superposition of a mother and a friend. One day, I was delayed while coming back from college, and I came home to see her angry and sulking and hungry. She would not eat without me. As I stepped in, she said, "I'm sure you have eaten something with your friends." To which I said, "Nah, not today. I have only bile juice in my stomach." She looked daggers at me. "Bile juice? Who got you bile juice?" So, well, that's her. If my dad is a 10 on the being afraid scale, my husband, Amit, is a 2. I met Amit on my first job. What attracted me to him was his indomitable, fearless spirit, his loud laughter, and his quirky sense of humor. At the beginning of our relationship, I complained to him once that he said he didn't say sweet nothings to me. And then he became serious and fell silent. I was confused. I was scared. I thought I had said something wrong. After what seemed like eternity, he cleared his throat and said, "Well, your eyes are like..." My heart fluttered. I was waiting with bated breath to hear what he had to say. "Your eyes are like headlights on a truck," he concluded. That was not the case with my 5-year-old son, though, who I affectionately call Sihi. Whenever he professes his love for me, it is 100% genuine. "Vasu, there is a lot of parentness in you," he declared recently, "and that is why I love you so much," he professed. Talking of love, the two things that I love most are writing and singing. Some of you might have heard me sing at the installation ceremony. I must admit that I was not my best. I had eaten one too many samosas before I went on stage. As for my research work, I work on transport phenomena in nanomaterials. It's magical to me that human beings comprehend the world around us. Trust me, there is so much beauty in the universe, and it is the quest for this beauty that keeps me in research. 1 year down the line, I would like to have a lab of my own and be a researcher of some repute. However, most of all, what I wish for is a lot of happiness and to be surrounded by loads of love. Over to you, Toastmaster Priyanka.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vasumathy, for such a wonderful way of introducing and letting us know who you are. And I must say there were quite a lot of instances that I could relate myself. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, since she is giving her icebreaker, I request all to stand and give her the standing ovation. And now, the second speaker, the person who's going to evaluate the second speaker, who would be giving his speech on the speech on level 2, project 3, pathway persuasive influence. The person who's going to evaluate, he runs his own podcast called The Lalit Ganesh Show, where he interviews people pursuing different careers and pathways and passions. He has recently interviewed people like famous comedian Anmol Garg and entrepreneur Deepika Das and many more. And trust me, to know more about it, please listen to his podcast. I would like to call upon evaluator DTM Lalit Dhanush to please read the guidelines.
Thank you, Toastmaster Priyanka, for that lovely introduction. And today's speaker, I will be evaluating his level 2 project 3. The purpose of this project is for the member to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. The purpose of this speech is also for the member to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. All the very best and do well.
Thank you, DTM Lalit Dhanush. Now the person who will be giving the second speech is an application development by profession. He enjoys long rides as he finds it therapeutic. But he's missing it right now because of COVID. So, ladies and gentlemen, speaker number 2, Toastmaster Sanjay, speech title map. Speech title map, speaker number 2, Toastmaster Sanjay. Over to you.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, gorgeous Toastmaster Priyanka. What is a map? We all been through an adventure just now before my speech. So we all need a map to plot the journey that we need to take to arrive at our destination. And it also helps you in identifying where you are presently in your journey. The protege is a traveler who relies on this map, also known as mentor and protege system. The protege relies on the experience of his or her mentor to aid her towards her own destination. If I said I was bad at maths in my 10th, that would be an understatement. That was because I was anxious for my final exams due to the mass hysteria that was induced by my friends, relatives, and especially my teachers. Then I turned to the only math genius I knew at the time. I called my cousin Appu and told him I needed his help. He came and stayed with me for a few weeks, and with great patience taught me the implicit rules that I had failed to pick up during my earlier years of mathematics. And he told me the one thing that would make me a math champ, and that was to drink Horlicks. Now, he told me that I would have to practice a lot of math problems, and practice I did. I practiced mathematics a lot more than the rest of the subjects. And in my final examination, I secured 70% in my maths. I applied the same technique in my 12th and secured most of the marks for the questions that I had attempted. And that's when I realized to get better at anything, one needs to practice, and practice a lot. Our life is not made of any single aspect. It has many layers and many facets. And this many layered onion called life peeled itself to teach me something wonderful. I was in my engineering a bit on fatter side and also short on confidence, due to which I never got involved in any cultural activities or gathered enough courage to address an entire class if I was asked to do so. I had come across the best problem solver at the time, and fortunately, he was also my friend. His name was Santosh. I told him my dilemma and told him I needed his help. He told me he would prescribe me one of the best weight loss programs that's out there that would be applicable to one and all. He told me to lose weight, I had to reduce my calorie intake and at the same time burn more calories if I could. I was in my second year of engineering and I decided to put this program to test. I started running 5 kilometers in the morning and ate very little rice in the afternoon. After about a month or so, my weight, which was in 60s prior to the program, had now dropped to 59. I was very happy. The after effect of which is I felt more at ease and confident while I was addressing an entire class. But the real benefit came during the fourth year of my engineering, where we had to give a seminar. And my seminar had lasted more than 30 minutes, the longest in the entire class. And that's where I learned that how to increase the confidence naturally and maintain it in consistent manner in the long run. The next layer that peeled itself to teach me something crucial is called work. I learned this from my team lead. He did not teach me this explicitly, rather, I picked it up from the way he interacts with his subordinates. Whenever he wanted us to do something, he would never tell a particular approach or a fixed approach to follow. Rather, what he would do is he would gather everybody and share how he would approach a similar situation. Or he would share a story or an instance from his younger years in a vivid manner so that we get the gist of what he's trying to say. From him, I learned that at workplace, it is better to adapt a suggestive communicative style rather than a directing one to get the collaboration of our peers and others at the workplace. And I'm trying to incorporate the same in my professional as well as personal life. In life, everyone's a protege. We come across many people and we look up to some of them and we try to receive inputs from them to navigate the challenges of life. And the rest of us glean the experiences from the life itself and we learn from it. Speaking of learning, humility is that sponge that helps us to imbibe the learning that comes from life and from others. So let us strive from now on to keep this sponge nimble so that it is ever ready to absorb the learning that comes its way in many shapes, forms, and experience. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Priyanka.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sanjay, for sharing us the layers of life. And yes, we will always remain the protege towards life. Only then we will learn. Thank you. Now, for the Toastmasters and guests, moving on to the second section, the most interesting section, the table topic section. And to take over this, we have someone who is pursuing his aeronautical engineering and in his final year. He says he is still unclear about what he wants to do post-college. But one thing he enjoys the most is long rides, poetry, and reading books. Ladies and gentlemen, the table topic master of today is none other than Toastmaster Vishal. And before I call Toastmaster Vishal on stage, I forgot to mention the voting link for the best speaker is being shared in WhatsApp. Kindly vote. The passcode is 1307. Now the stage is over to you, Toastmaster Vishal.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Toastmaster Priyanka.
One second. Please give us some time to vote. Otherwise,
Sure,
we'll
sir.
step on. Please.
Hope everyone is done casting their vote. Good evening, Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What is a chatterbox? Now, if you ask this question to anyone who doesn't know me, they wouldn't say Vishal. But if you ask it to any of my friends, their first response would be Vishal. My best friend Achyuta asked me a question long ago. Why are you so silent? Please talk. He regrets it till this day because I haven't stopped talking. I talk so much about anything and everything. But on a Friday at BTMC on stage at around 7:30, mum's the word. Nothing comes to mind. And this is because I am a little scared of impromptu speaking. However, I sat and thought, what is it that I love? What is it that everyone loves? And then I thought, movies. Everyone loves movies. So today I will be giving some quotes from famous movies, and the participant can give me their take on that quote. For the benefit of the guests, the table topic session is an impromptu session where the speeches are not prepared. And please note the time for these speeches is between 1 and 1.5 minutes, which is 1 minute 30 seconds. Now, for the first speaker, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Guru. Toastmaster Guru, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Your topic, yes. The dialogue is from an American movie called Psycho. The dialogue is, a boy's best friend is his mother.
Thank you, Tabletop Master. It's a wonderful topic. First, you're talking about a psycho, right? Okay. Sometimes I also want to be like a psycho, but it is not working out for me. But still, any which ways, because it's an art. Everybody cannot become a psycho. For that, you need to have a different talent. Now, coming to the mother. So mother is one beautiful relationship. Like mother is one, like it's a kind of you can't compare that relationship with any other relationship in the world. So mother gives, see, the first teacher to you is the mother. The first thing you learn from your mother, and the ethics and morals you learn from the mother. Not only that, mother is one thing I've seen. They sacrifice everything to their child. And to me, I'm the only one child to my parents. I know that how much my mother sacrificed to me. Sometimes, they don't even think about themselves. Everything they want to offer to the child. So, do you think that anybody can be the best friend other than a mother? No, because they sacrifice everything. You go and ask your mother, give your heart. I think that they will give the heart to their children. And no other person in the globe. Even you go to your loved ones and ask to give you their heart, definitely they'll say no. Why I have to give my heart? The only person they will give your heart to you is your mother. So mother is a best friend. Thank you very much for a wonderful topic, Vishal. Have a nice time and happy Sankranti to you.
Happy Sankranti, Toastmaster Guru. That was an amazing take on the dialogue. I too act like a psycho now and then. Only my mother can handle me. Now, for the next speaker, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Sudipto. Toastmaster Sudipto, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
This is a dialogue from the movie Spider-Man, my favorite dialogue. With great power comes great responsibility. Over to you, Toastmaster Sudipto.
Thank you, Vishal. Personally, I've not seen any Spider-Man movie, so I will take you at your word that this is from that movie. But coming to the topic, with great power comes great responsibility, and so true that we see that responsibility, can be handled well, and if you don't do it well, I mean, the consequences can be dramatically bad. If you rewind back in time, one of the greatest powers in the middle of last century was Germany, and Hitler, being their chancellor at that time, had great power. But I mean, unfortunately, he didn't do the best use of that. But if you move to the other side of the world, let's come to India, right? We had a gentleman called our father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and over time, while he didn't have any anointed power from the government, but he had the power of the people, and more than that, he had the power of his own conviction and the fact that he's on the morally on a right path. And with that power, how well did he harness that power, right? He had the great responsibility of probably 50 crore people at that time looking up to him, and he stood the test of time to the extent that even today, I mean, people fondly recall him, and he's probably the person of the last century for me. Back to you, Vishal.
Thank you for that amazing take on the dialogue. I recommend that you watch the Spider-Man movies. I am a little biased, it being my favorite movie, but I recommend a watch.
Yeah, my children have told me same.
Next, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Vijay Sai. Toastmaster Vijay Sai, are you there?
I'm there.
Yes, the topic to you is from the movie 12 Years a Slave. I don't want to survive, I want to live.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. On a day-to-day, the only difference between the animal kingdom, between the plant kingdom, as well as the human kingdom is animals survive. Survival is khana, pina, sona, progeny, and finally death. But only the human being can actually make a difference to the world. Only the human being can do something which would actually help in changing the world and also living his life to the fullest extent. So I don't want to survive, I want to live. The thing of my agenda in life is a song which says, enjoy yourself. It's life is when you're still in the pink, because you do not know whether you're going to live today or whether you're going to not be there tomorrow, especially in the corona world when you talk of it. So when you talk of living for me means I need to enjoy my life, I need to contribute to people around, and I need to make a difference to the people I meet on a day-to-day basis. And the difference I need to make is like the sun. The sun does not do anything. By just rising, it actually contributes. And I do not want to survive. I therefore want to live by living and letting others live and helping everyone, contributing to the growth of everyone. Thank you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. That was an amazing speech. You have inspired me to live, and your dog in the background was just a sweet in the pot. Next, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Robinson, sir.
I'm here.
Sir, your topic, yes, sir. Your topic is from the movie Star Wars. Do or do not. There is no try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. My suggestion is whenever you get an opportunity, go ahead. Do it. Not just attempt. We have just heard Mr. Vijay Sai's explanation to the topic he had given. I fully agree with him. See, we are born. We are born for a purpose. Until that purpose is reached, we should do our best in whichever field we are, whatever job is given to us, whatever stream we take up, and we must do it to the fullest. That serves the community, that serves the people. As Sunita said, Mahatma Gandhi, from where he started and from where he ended. Yes, he was not a man of the century. He became the man of, he was declared by the entire world as a man of the millennium. How did it happen? He did it. He did it to the fullest, contributed everything from him. And that's what I wish, not only me, but everyone around us to contribute, to do it, so that we make this, turn this world a better place, not only for us, for each and every person in this world. Over to Vishal.
Thank you, sir. That was an amazing speech. And I love how you use the other speakers' speeches into your own. Next, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Shreyas. Are you there, Toastmaster Shreyas?
Yes, I'm here.
So for you, from the movie Finding Dory, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Yeah, Finding Dory, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. You have an endless road of journey of success and failure. We're all in a journey of finding something. It may be finding a job, finding love, finding success, or just finding a new version of yourself. Someone might have just pushed you around, or you're just challenging yourself to be a better version of yourself. I'm sure it's just been 14 days into the new year, and we're all in that new spirit of newness, of setting new goals. And if you are someone who has not set a goal, or if you're still finding your happiness or finding that missing factor in your life, just keep swimming. There's no end to it. I am a writer myself, and I did not know how to write a book. And I asked my English teacher one day, how do you start? She just keep writing. And I'm like, when does it stop? She's like, it doesn't stop. You decide when you stop. You decide when it stops. Till then, just keep writing, keep swimming, keep failing, because there's no rule book as to how and what you have to do. Well, there is a discipline involved, but just keep swimming. Over to you, table topic master of the day, Vishal.
Amazing speech, Toastmaster Shreyas. Just keep swimming indeed. No matter how hard it just gets, just keep going. Next, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Utkarsh. Are you there, Toastmaster Utkarsh?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. So the topic for you is from the movie Lion King. Oh yes, the past can hurt, but you can either run from it or learn from it. Over to you, Toastmaster Utkarsh.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Vishal. That was a really good topic from a really good film. When he says learn from the past, he talks about the fact that we as human beings are creatures who bring about this whole life into ourselves, and it is run by only two things: our imagination and our memory. So these are two big tools for us that we can use to further our human race, to further the way we think, to make our life better, to make our life more comfortable. But when we use our memory and what has happened to us, what has happened in the past to us, as a tool to bring ourselves into a shell of sadness, of living in our own psychological drama, we limit ourselves from being from growing, and we become stagnant in life. When we see what has happened to us in life just as something that has happened to us and not attach any remorse or regret to it, we can see that we learn from what happens in the past and we do not repeat it in the future. If we've gone through something traumatic, we know that we've gone through that and become stronger because of it. If we've gone through something joyful, we know that after these tough times, we can hope for such a glimmer of hope in life. And that is the way to deal with our past. Do not run from it. When you're faced with it in the future again, in the present, how you can use that as something to move forward in life is how you should think. And that is what is my take. The great quote from the great film of Lion King. Back to you.
Thank you for that wonderful speech, Toastmaster Utkarsh. Rafiki would be proud of you. Next, I would like to call upon Toastmaster Richard Souza. Are you there, Toastmaster Richard?
Yes, I'm very well here.
This quote is from the award-winning movie The Godfather. Great men are not born, they grow great.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Great. Great people are not born, but they are made. They are grown. I do agree with it. For the growth of anyone, what is required is a constant effort, improvisation, learning from the past, and moving ahead. I, who came from a place or from a background where my father was an employer and he employed a lot of people. But the outcome or the profit from his business, which was a coffee plantation, was not regular every year. 5 years, good crop, good yield, and maybe for another 7 years, no crop at all. Many times borrowing. And there were days when question arose from his dependents, his wife, and also his relatives. Why this kind of business? Why this kind of hardship? Where earning only for 5 years, but putting out money from our own pockets for about 7 years. Why this kind of business? But he was very much adored and admired because he gave employment for a multitude of people. And what he gained out of this was the goodwill of the people for whom he had given employment, but also he gave opportunities for others to grow as business people. Though he had a pinching pocket or empty pocket by all the times, he enriched others by giving employment and also giving chances for others to earn by utilizing their own skills. Therefore, though we felt he didn't grow, he was a person who was very much admired and appreciated. Therefore, big people, they know how to grow. They grow by themselves by dedication and their hard work. Over to table topic master, please.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful, wonderful speech. You really showed us how one can just become great, even if they're not born great. That has been my time, dear Toastmasters and dear guests. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Priyanka.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vishal, for such amazing topics. And now moving on to the most important section, the evaluation section, as it is important for the club to thrive and function as per the Toastmasters guidelines. And for that, we have someone who will observe the entire meeting and share their feedback. And as a general evaluator, we have someone who is an industry relation and labor law consultant. When I asked him what is his thoughts about this theme, he said, even though he considers himself not much as a risk taker, but unknowingly his job relies on his intuitive decisions. So unknowingly being a superficial risk taker. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a general evaluator, we have Toastmaster Jose Paul.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Priyanka. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. A very warm welcome to the evaluation session. When I first heard of the theme of today's meeting, I found it very alarming because the word chatterbox brings the image of a person ranting and babbling something endlessly. And that is something I definitely do not want to spend a valuable Friday evening for, especially sitting in a formal setting with guidelines and time slot, etc. I would rather do it with friends over some drinks in a very casual setting. And any person who is not very familiar with Toastmasters meeting would have definitely found it also very alarming, wondering how chattering can be equated with communication. And why would anyone join an organization to improve one's chattering skills? But then later, I got another perspective of this message. If you wish to learn something new, let's say swimming, you need to jump into the pool. Of course, not into the deep end. You cannot just learn from the sidelines. That's the basic message. Similarly, even improving your speaking skills through the Toastmasters program, the first step is to just start speaking. All the refining and polishing follows thereafter. And over a period of time, the member becomes a polished gem that is an excellent communicator. It is in the evaluation session of the Toastmasters meeting that we do the polishing. We do it by giving each role taker a very positive, valuable, and constructive evaluation. So let me begin the evaluation of today's proceedings. We first had our Sergeant at Arms, Chaitra. Chaitra, I think you did a fabulous job. You brought in a lot of enthusiasm when you came onto the screen, and you announced the 3 rules very well. Especially, I like the way how you requested everyone to turn on their video. It was with so much of earnestness. And you spoke on the theme and connected with the personal experience that was also done very well. And you connected that very well with the president's introduction. I think you did very well with that. If I can give you a suggestion, one small good practice that I could find during the last term was when the Sergeant at Arms used to give a countdown to the time. I think that kept everybody on the dot, and the meeting could start on time. So that is something that we could continue so that we start right on the dot at 6:30. That is possibly something that you can incorporate in the further meetings. Otherwise, I think you did a fabulous job. Dear Toastmasters, let us hear it for the Sergeant at Arms, Chaitra. We then had the president come on screen, and Toastmaster President Hannah, I think you started off very well by acknowledging the Sergeant at Arms introduction and also acknowledging the guests. I think that was also done well. And again, you also had a personal experience connecting with the theme. So I think that connected very well with the audience. And another thing that you did brilliantly well was, I think, the introduction you had for the Toastmaster of the Day, Priyanka Ranore. I think it was something that anybody would be proud of, the way you introduced the Toastmaster of the Day. I think you did it fabulously well. Now, if I may give a few suggestions, one is, I think you possibly missed to declare the meeting open in the beginning, but then, of course, you did it after that. That's fine. And you're just into your second meeting. So I think that is something that you would get used to very soon. And one suggestion I had regarding the guests is that if you could possibly have their names, read out their names, that could make them even more welcome. You could possibly try it if you have only a few guests. that could be done. I think otherwise you did a fabulous job and gave us a good message. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hannah. A round of applause for Toastmaster Hannah, our president. Then now coming over to the secretary who presented, Secretary Kirtana, I think you presented the minutes of the meeting very well, flawlessly. And the two good things that I had to comment is that it was humorous. I like the way you presented the meeting in terms of not making it, stereotypical like a minutes. It was presented very well, and that smile on your face was also another attractive aspect of the presentation. Now, one thing I think you could work on would be possibly the voice modulation, because sometimes I just felt it was more like a newsreader giving a presentation. So that is one area which you could have possibly worked on. But otherwise, I think you did a fabulous job. Let's hear it for the Secretary Kirtana. A big round of applause, please. Well, then we had our Toastmaster of the day, Priyanka Ranore. I think you had a very enthusiastic start in the meeting. You came with a lot of smile and energy. That was wonderful. You ushered in the meeting very well. And the message on the theme, I think you were quite philosophical with all about the inner voice and other aspects. You had a quote also, and then you connected it very well with Ralph Swiss medley and the Toastmasters movement. I like that it was very well done. And then even the introduction of the speakers and the other role takers, I think you did it very well. I like the way you introduced the icebreaker, Vasumathy, because you did not dwell on her introduction too much because she was going to give her icebreaker, but the way you narrated it, I think was very well done. But a few suggestions that I would like to give you is, I think as the Toastmaster of the day, you possibly should have been the one who's most updated with the role takers. So I think that change of the R counter was something that you should have known before the meeting. But I think you recovered pretty fast, and that was done. The change was done very well. And then even the introduction, somewhere there were some hiccups, and this is totally uncharacteristic of Priyanka Ranore that we know of. And of course, maybe possibly the others may not know that. But today morning when I spoke to you, I came to know that the last few days was like a roller coaster ride for you, with a lot of personal emergencies that you were attending. Possibly that had hampered this. But I think these are points that you can note for your future assignments as a Toastmaster. I think you did a fabulous job till now. Let's give a big round of applause for Priyanka. Thank you. We then had the table topic master, Vishal Vasant Kumar. Vishal, something that myself as well as all the other Toastmasters who attended today's meeting, something they would never forget is possibly the background that you had of the stage. I think that's very, very welcoming. And equally welcoming is your smile, because whenever you gave a topic and when a speaker concluded speaking also, that smile, I think, made everybody very comfortable. So these were wonderfully done. And when I first heard that you were going to give topics based on dialogues from movies, and that to Hollywood movies, I was just a little because maybe the audience, all of them may not, would have watched Hollywood movies, and so they may not be comfortable. But however, the topics that you gave were very simple, and even if they were not connected with movies, I think they were very simple and very easy to talk on, and that's why we had all the speakers speak very well on the topics. I think big round of applause and appreciation for that. One small suggestion I had was when you started speaking, I thought you really unleashed the chatterbox in you, because you went on talking about your speaking and the chatterbots and all of those things, which possibly could have, cut short and more crisp, and we could have had one more speaker added to the list. But I think you did a fabulous job. A big round of applause for the table topic master, Vishal. Now, let us move on to the speech evaluators. The first speech was by Toastmaster Vasumathy, who was giving an icebreaker. And to evaluate her, we had our very own Corona warrior, DTM Teresa. Please join me in welcoming DTM Teresa.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, my dear guest, and Toastmaster Dr. Vasumathy in particular. I congratulate you, Toastmaster Vasumathy, for breaking the ice today in a marvelous manner.
Thank you.
You narrated or you weaved your story so well that even opening was a wonderful question, and you told us your birthplace. Then the story continued. We would so beautifully introduce your mom, dad, your sister Purna, the relationship between your sister, then your husband Amit in the son, and your passion and the goal and wish. What a beautiful script. Congratulate. I really congratulate you for this icebreaker speech, a wonderful script, 10 upon 10.
Thank you.
Coming to the delivery, you have ticked all the boxes right, starting from the clarity of your speech, your eye contact, you are looking at the camera so that I felt you are looking at me, and the wonderful smile. Of course, the headlights of a truck, your eyes were beautifully shown, and the body language when you said the small, the big, and every gesture were apt. The humor was icing on the cake. Along with the humor, there was a voice modulation also. Just like your husband said, what is it? Your eyes are like, and we are very curious. You made me very curious to see what he would have said. Then, of course, headlights of a truck. Wonderful, Vasumathy, really too good. I also liked the most important thing in your speech is, even though, of course, you are very highly educated, doctorate, studied in a very esteemed organizations, very esteemed colleges and universities, your simplicity and richness of the language, that was marvelous, Toastmaster Dr. Vasumathy.
Thank you.
And when everybody wishes for a big car or a bungalow or a whatnot, your wish is to have a lab of your own. Wow, you have touched many people with your icebreaker and concluded your speech with a wonderful message that wishing everybody happiness and love. To conclude, Toastmaster Vasumathy, you, as Mr. General Evaluator said, you are a polished gem. We have to polish the gem, but you are already polished. So I would like to say, continue the same and cherish your journey. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you.
Sir, you are on mute.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out, DTM Teresa. Thank you very much. And as you mentioned, I think Dr. Vasumathy is a polished gem. And in fact, I was just going to point out that she did not really mention about why she joined Toastmasters. That was not part of the whole speech. And now I know why, because she doesn't actually need to be in the Toastmasters. She's already a polished gem, but I think fabulously done. And another point I noticed was that every character that she spoke, she had an anecdote to relate to. So that was, I think, very well done. And so a wonderful speech as well as a wonderful evaluation. Let's hear it both for the speaker and the evaluator. Dear Toastmasters. And meanwhile, before we have the next evaluator, please let me announce that the voting link for the best table topic speaker is on, and please cast your vote. The passcode is 1307. 1307 is the passcode. If you are finished, I think we will move on to the evaluation of the second speaker. The second speaker was Toastmaster Sanjay Rao, and he was evaluated by DTM Lalit Dhanush. Please join me in welcoming DTM Lalit Dhanush.
Thank you, General Evaluator, for that wonderful opportunity to give my evaluation. Good evening, everyone, and my target speaker, Sanjay in particular. Sanjay, I was in awe when I got to know that you were attempting your level 2 project 3 speech, because honestly, you were giving a speech that looked like a level 5 project 5 speech. Yeah, I was confused and I had to check two times to see what project you were attempting, and I was simply in awe. I remember the first time I saw your speech, I was thinking what kind of ways you had definitely improved on, and I must say you've had a 360-degree improvement to your wonderful speaking skills. Sanjay, today I will be giving you my evaluation on analysis, recommendation, technicality, and then possibly a summary. In my analysis, I understood that you're a very comfortable speaker. You enjoy your own thinking, you enjoy your own skin, and you enjoy being the authentic version of you when you speak. There's an air of cool around you. There is no, strong movement. There is no fast-paced speaking. You were completely in control. And I think that is the quality of not just a good speaker, but a great one. Now, they say vulnerability is strength. And vulnerability is where you learn and grow and become better. Today's speech, if I have to sum it up in one word, it must be vulnerable. Because in order to be a learner, in order to be a student, you must first accept your own mistakes. You must accept your path of growth, and you did it so wonderfully well, Sanjay, today. Now, a few things that you did superiorly well is what I just mentioned. A few things that you might look into in terms of improvement. You started your speech by saying thank you to the MC. I felt you don't have to have that initial chatter or conversation with the MC, because it'll take away the suspense that the audience is waiting to listen to you from. Our previous speaker, Vasumathy, started with a question. Maybe you could start with a fact, a question, or an anecdote, which could immediately grab people's attention. Second, I also believe that you could bring in characterization and facial expressions. Now that you've mastered your basic and secondary levels of speaking, bringing in more flavor, bringing in expression, bringing in pauses, bringing in emotion will just light it up like fireworks in Diwali. At the end of it, I'm super sure, just like how you felt you were heavyweight when you were younger and went to Santosh, today you had the same weight in your words, not in your body. Your words had that weightage and it impacted all of us. All in all, your speech was fantastic. You were comfortable because you were vulnerable. On the other side, if you could improve a little bit, just in characterization and a little bit of emotion, I can assure you, you are 11 on 10 on my marks card. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Wow, DTM Lalit Dhanush, I think that was a marvelous technical evaluation, and so much depth into that. I think it was wonderfully done. A big round of applause for the speaker as well as the evaluator, DTM Lalit. A big round of applause, dear Toastmasters. Thank you very much. And if you notice about both our evaluators today, both are DTMs. So there is so much of learning that we would have had today from both of them. I think rich experience. Thank you very much, both the evaluators. So now we move on to the tag team report. I request the time manager, Toastmaster Chirant, to please give his report. Toastmaster Chirant.
Yes, Toastmaster Jaws. So the speakers, both the speakers have restricted to their respective time limit. The speaker one, Vasumathy, has taken 5 minutes 55 seconds, and Sanjay Rao has taken 5 minutes 45 seconds, as well as the general evaluators who took DTM Teresa took 3 minutes 10 seconds, and DTM Lalit Danish took 3 minutes 18 seconds. As per the table topic session, so today's time limit was 1 minute to 1 minute 30 seconds. So out of 7 participants, 2 participants have finished within time and few have taken over the time. So over to you, General Evaluator.
Oh, thank you very much, Toastmaster Chirant. Thanks a lot for that very crisp report. We now would have the R counter, Toastmaster Jainam. Can you please give your report, Toastmaster Jainam?
Yeah. So can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So from the beginning, TM Chaitra had 1 hour. TM Hannah had 4 hours. TM Priyanka, being the Toastmaster of the day, has not had a single clutch word in my hearing, which is great. TM Vasumathy also has not had a single clutch word. TM Sanjay had 1 hour, 1 so, and 1 repeat. He repeated one of his phrases once. Then TM Vishal had 1 hour. TM Guru had 1 so. TM Sudipto had 4 hours. He repeated his phrases twice, and 2 ands and I knows. Then TM Vijay and TM Robinson have also not had any clutch words. TM Shreyas had 1 hour. TM Utkarsh had repeated his phrase once. TM Richard had 1 hour. The general evaluator, TM Jose Paul, had 6 hours. And the distinguished Toastmaster Teresa had repeated her phrase once. And DTM Lalit had no clutch words. That's my report for the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jainam. We will next have the report of the grammarian, Toastmaster Alan Arana. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Alan.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Now, it's always a great thing when the good usages of the English language outweighs the not so good. So let me start with the not so good first. We have a term, someone said chosen, which could have been chosen. Many a layers could be many layers. Many a people could be many people. And only one child could be only child. Now, when it comes to the good usages of English language, the English language, you had phrases like, you know your truth, hold the key to transformation, manifest, unleash, deer caught in headlights, buffer, quirky sense of humor, bated breath, headlights on a truck, mass hysteria, and imbibe. Now, as the president, we always look up to Hannah to show us the way. And she did really show us the way today and she's the only person who used the word of the day, which was ruse. Now, the bad part about that is that nobody else used it. So let us take this opportunity to follow her lead and use it from next time onwards. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Alan. I think that was very wonderfully done. Yes, we should, let's learn it from the president and stick to the rules. Now, before we move on to the next assignee, that is the listener, you may please cast your vote for the best evaluators. The voting is open. The link is open, and please take a couple of minutes. The voting passcode is 1307. I assume that you have all casted your votes. We now move on to the next team member of the Taggle team, that is a listener, Toastmaster Abhirama. Looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. It was indeed a treat listening to all the wonderful speakers and role takers. So my first question is, who was not happy with Toastmaster Vasumathy for having bile juice?
Sister Poorna.
Yes, absolutely. Many of you got it right. Now this question is, who am I? I grew up being the youngest of 9 cousins, and I work in an organization with 3 women out of 100 employees. Who am I?
Master Hannah Victoria.
Anna.
Madam President, Hannah Victoria.
So many of you got it right. We have very good listeners today. So what did Toastmaster Sanjay's mentor Apu ask him to drink to succeed in mathematics?
Horlicks.
Who said that?
Vishal.
Vishal himself.
Wonderful, wonderful, Vishal. Looks like you took the advice very seriously. So with great power comes great responsibility. It's a popular dialogue from which movie?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Absolutely. You all were great listeners, I can say. Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Abhirama. I think you did a fabulous job and helped us recollect some of the nice aspects of the meeting. Thank you very much. A big round of applause for the Taggle team members. Let's hear it for them. Well, that concludes the evaluation session. Before concluding the evaluation, let me I have some words for the committee. I think they have done a fabulous job because as we saw, the agenda had come up right on Sunday itself, which was very good. I think that's a very good move because all the role takers have ample time to prepare. I think there is a lot of effort that goes in behind from the starting from the president and a big role by the VPE and all the other committee members. I think you're doing a fabulous job, and I request you to continue this wonderful job that you're doing. Of course, being a part of this meeting group, I came to know of a lot of change in the role takers. So a lot of people out there do not know the challenges and hard time that the committee members are doing and the role takers are doing behind the scenes. I think it's wonderfully done. A big round of applause for the committee. I think they deserve it. And with that, I wish to conclude the evaluation session and hand it over back to Toastmaster of the Day, Priyanka. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, General Evaluator. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a huge round of applause to our General Evaluator.
Thank you.
As we now come to the end, and before I sign off, I would like to thank the VP Education Toastmaster Smita for being so supportive and encouraging and bearing with my a little bit of tension. Sorry for that. And thank you so much. And now I would like to hand over the stage to the President.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Priyanka. It is great to see all of you. We are on 49, and I thank the guests, so many guests. I thank each of you for being. A quick, while we wait for the results, I would request any of the guests, Shivraj or Suzanne, to quickly tell us how you came to know about the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Any of the guests, Vinay, Anne Michelle.
Hello, Ma. Hello, this is Vinay speaking.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Vinay Raj. This is the second time I'm attending the club meeting as a guest. So last time when I attended, there was a lot of takeaway from each and everyone. So I learned a lot. So I want to keep learning, and I want to join the club very soon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Vinay. Any other guest, first time guest who's come into our meeting?
Mr. President, Madam President, if you permit me, I have one question.
Sure, sir. Go ahead.
It is for Vinay. Vinay, are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
Are you from Chickpet? You are in the
Yes,
gold
sir.
jewelry making?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you are welcome. Next time we'll meet when we
Thank
meet
you, sir.
physically.
Oh, sure, sir. Sure.
Thanks a lot, Vinay, for attending this meeting. Thanks a lot.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, for giving me an opportunity.
Most welcome, sir. So the results have come. The best taggle team goes to Toastmaster Alan Arana. Please give him a huge round of applause. The best table topic speaker goes to Toastmaster Vijay Sai. The best role taker goes to Toastmaster Jose Paul. The best evaluator is DTM Teresa. And the best speaker of this evening of today goes to Toastmaster Dr. Vasumathy. Thank you so much. It was a